Well, the last time we were together here at Total Sleep with Eva Ovitt, we talked about what total sleep was and why you should go there. So now we're going to get Eva to tell us all about sleep apnea, which you hear, and we mentioned it last time we were together. You see these things on television, how to clean this thing, how to clean that thing. I don't know how that stuff goes. So let's talk about sleep apnea first.
Okay, so what we do here is we are a diagnostic sleep center. So as we were talking before, our patients come here and they sleep, we monitor them, and we diagnose them or see if they have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea by definition is the pausing of breathing while you're sleeping. And if that happens repeatedly and they stop breathing for a long period of time, your blood oxygen levels start to drop.
Okay, now the pausing of breathing.
Stop breathing, yeah.
It means you're not breathing.
Right.
So you're not breathing. I mean, the whole idea, if you're not breathing, what are you doing? So oxygen is not going to your brain?
Exactly. That's one of the reasons. Sleep apnea, if you can't get air in your lungs, you can't get the oxygen out of the air. And it can't get into your bloodstream. So you're not filtering oxygenated blood around your body. And that's actually the cause of a lot of the problems. Your heart recognizes that, and the first thing your heart does is it starts to beat faster. It produces a lot of adrenaline, and that's what causes things like high blood pressure. With high blood pressure, you get things like strokes. It can cause diabetes and cause all sorts of problems.
So you hear stories. So I don't have it, and I don't know anybody who does. Personally, I might, but they don't tell me.
Right.
You know, say, how you doing today? How you sleeping?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen too often. So when they stop breathing, do they wake themselves up?
Often they do. If they're lucky, they do, or someone else wakes them up.
If they don't, do they die?
Well, you know what? Sudden death is something that could happen with untreated sleep apnea. Absolutely. Now, in a severe case, but it has happened.
Yeah. But only in severe case.
Absolutely.
I don't want to scare anybody.
No. Yeah. No, but it can cause all sorts of other problems that people don't realize are linked to unhealthy sleep. So we diagnose them here with sleep apnea. The Dr. Day will look at their sleep study, and our sleep director, our technical director, actually knows how they count the episodes that they have. They monitor their oxygen rate. And insurance companies have a very specific level. You have to have more than 5 episodes an hour.
So it's covered by insurance?
It is.
It is covered by insurance. Well, that's good news.
Yeah, and you're diagnosed if you have more than 5 in an hour, and if you're having an oxygen desaturation where your oxygen level's dropping down. So anything above 5 an hour is worth treating with a CPAP machine or some type of machine or device that blows the airway open while you're sleeping.
Okay. Now a CPAP machine, now what they show you, what I've seen is you put this oxygen mask on. People sleep with that, right?
They do. And it's, we joke about it, the Darth Vader mask. Nowadays the masks are so minimal. There's masks that just go underneath the nostrils. There's masks that just go...
like in the hospital.
Yeah, almost like that, like a comfortable, larger oxygen cannula that just make contact with the bottom of the nose. And then there's little ones that go over the nose. And then the full face masks now, instead of just covering the whole face like they used to, they have ones now that just cover the mouth and sit underneath the nose so you can breathe.
So we have a couple of examples here of what you're talking about, which is interesting. So let's take a look at them.
So in order for the air that's coming from the machine to get into the patient's body, we need to have some type of a sealed mask. And so there's different styles of masks. It used to be that they would have masks that seemed like they were big and bulky, but this is an example of a full face mask covering the nose and the mouth, allowing the patient still to sleep and turn side to side, but getting air, and that air is actually physically blowing the airway open to get air down into the lungs. That's why they call it an obstructive sleep apnea, OSA. It's just basically blowing air to get the air into the lungs. The second kind of mask, there's actually 3 different styles of mask. This is another one. This is kind of a combination of what we call a nasal mask that goes over the nose and one that just goes up underneath the nose. Very comfortable. You can see yourself sleeping in that without, barely covering anything. Now, obviously, this is not covering the patient's mouth because most people actually sleep with their mouth closed, and people don't realize that. So you put this on the CPAP tubing and put the machine on, and off you go to sleep. And getting oxygen and being able to breathe allows your body to do what it's naturally made to do when it goes to sleep and cycle through healthy levels of sleep. So it does great things for your body.
How long does it take for all the diagnostics to happen? do they come in like on a Monday and leave on a Friday?
Oh, no. Yeah.
Or is it, do they come in at 9 o'clock on Friday and they leave at 1 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night? And
Actually, what we do, Bob, is we schedule patients for 2 nights in a row. They come in at 8 o'clock at night and they leave about 6 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Okay.
The first night is what we call the diagnostic sleep study, where they come in and we don't put any CPAP on them. We just observe what they're doing and diagnose them if they do or don't have sleep apnea. The second night we call the titration night. So we actually, if they do have sleep apnea, they come back to the center again at 8 o'clock at night. And we apply the CPAP machine. The CPAP is started at the lowest pressure. And again, all of the same equipment that was put on them during the diagnostic portion of the study is put on them again, but now we apply the device that's going to blow air to see how much air it takes to open their airway. So we call that a titration because we're going to move up and down until we find that optimal pressure that's going to work for them.
So what happens if they go through the testing and it's not a CPAP warranted?
Okay.
They don't need a CPAP.
They wouldn't come back the second night, correct. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes they just need oxygen at nighttime. Sometimes they just have an underlying condition like COPD or something that would just require oxygen. Sometimes they need nothing at all because it wasn't sleep apnea. And that allows the doctor to kind of check that box off and say, okay, it's not sleep apnea, let's look over here. Maybe there's something else going on.
Okay, so they can actually, someone could come in, have a sleep problem, they go through all the diagnostics, they go through
and they don't have it.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Johnny, you don't have it.
Yeah. Oh, we're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
he goes back to his doctor. Like you say, he checks the box.
Yeah.
If he does have it, okay. But what about cleaning these things? You hear so much about. Do they have to clean them once you get one of these? Do you have to clean it every single night, every day, once a week?
There are parts that you do need to clean daily, and those parts, I tell my patients, are what's touching your skin. Basically, the part of the nasal mask or the full face mask that's touching your skin, you want to keep that nice and clean. As far as the parts of the CPAP, the tubing and the CPAP machine and the humidifier chamber, there's a water chamber that you put it into. That has different frequencies. There's a filter you need to keep clean like once a week. So everything, when we do the setup, we show the patient how to use the machine, how to take care of the machine, how to put on the mask, how everything operates, and then how to take care of it.
So when they've got all the stuff hooked up to everything, where is that? Is there a computer? There's a computer in the front lobby, not lobby, but in the front area.
We have what's called a tech room or a technician room. Yes.
Okay. Now all that information is fed into that computer?
It is. Each of the rooms, which you can't see on camera, but each of the rooms is equipped with a camera, with a microphone. And then running through the ceiling all the way back down to the tech room, those wires go, and there's 6 computers down there, one that corresponds with each of the rooms that we have here. So the technicians can watch them on screen, and then they can watch what all of their brain waves are doing, their respiratory rate.
So there's nobody actually in the room with them?
No, not at all.
So they have that privacy?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have, of course, this room has a private bathroom. The other rooms have bathrooms, so if you have to get up to go to the bathroom.
We just basically disconnect. There's a box we call kind of a control box. We disconnect from the rest of the system, and the patient kind of just holds on to that. So all the leads don't have to come off. We don't have to redo anything. They just carry that to use the restroom. And what's so neat about the microphone in the room, you don't have to yell to get your technician. You can just say, hey, I've got to go to the bathroom. What's interesting, though, is that technician knows before they know that they're waking up, because they can see it in their brain waves, which is kind of neat.
Really?
Yeah. So they know that this person's coming out of a stage of sleep, that either they're going to roll over and go back to sleep, or they might need to get up and use the restroom. So they're already on it. They're expecting to hear something from that patient or see that patient.
So by looking at their computer, they can tell if the patient's is waking up, and they can tell that he's going to roll over and go back to sleep.
Or if he's going to roll over, they're being aroused, they're arousing, and then they're either going to go back into another level, deeper stage of sleep again, or they're waking up for some reason, but they can see that.
Dreaming?
We can't see dreams, but we know that dreams happen when you're in REM sleep, in that deepest sleep, the best stages of sleep. That also happens to be where you have your worst apnea. When somebody has obstructive sleep apnea, it usually happens in those real deep sleep. And all of a sudden the patient wakes up to take a gasp of breath. So people actually don't dream a whole lot when they have obstructive sleep apnea. One of the things we love to hear after our patient's been diagnosed and treated is they're dreaming now. Oh my gosh, I'm having the most amazing dreams, you know?
So,
now that they're on CPAP, they're getting into that healthy REM
they're getting
sleep.
more oxygen to their brain?
Well, and they're allowed to sleep.
Well, again, thank you so much for being with us, Eva. This is such great information. Now, if you have a sleep problem, check with your doctor. Find out what your doctor says about it. And get recommended. And then come on in, and you will be amazed how nice this place is. I wouldn't mind just taking a nap when we're done here. Anyway, thanks again.